Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us today for our overview of the 2018 Rural and Native American Request for Letters of Interest Funding Opportunity. My name is Kate Dippendorfer, and I'm a Senior Grant Specialist here at Enterprise. And I'm joined by Sarah Torcell, Program Director under Enterprise's National Initiatives, and Diane Westcott, Grant Specialist. Before I get started, I just want to mention that today's discussion will be recorded and available on our website along with the PowerPoint slides in the coming days. So today we'll be providing a quick overview about Enterprise, the Section 4 program, the LOI and its program areas of interest, how to submit an application, the timeline and then some important dates, resources that are available for applicants, reminders, and then we'll read through some of the questions that have been submitted. Unfortunately, since the group on the phone is so large, we can only accept questions through the chat box, so please use that if you have any questions. And as a reminder, any content that we present today in this webinar is only intended to summarize the contents of the LOI. So anything that's said again during this presentation that appears discrepant from the information in the LOI is superseded by the information in the LOI. So here we have Jim Rouse, Enterprise's founder. Mr. Rouse created Enterprise over 30 years ago with the vision to create opportunity for low and moderate income people through affordable housing and diverse, thriving communities. And with that, I will turn it over to Sarah.
Thank you again for joining us today. So a little bit about the Rural and Native American Initiative. Enterprise has been investing in rural communities since 1997, and we have put over $800 million and developed more than 15,000 homes in rural communities across the country. And of that, almost $120 million and 153 homes have been developed in Native communities. So we've been working in this space for quite some time. And you'll hear more about our program priorities in a little bit, but you can see that while 153 homes being developed in Native communities is a great thing, we still have a long way to go in supporting homeownership in Native communities, and that continues to be a huge focus for us here at Enterprise, along with developing safe, green, affordable homes, supporting 515 preservation projects, creating permanent supportive housing projects to address the increasing homeless population, and supporting climate and culture resiliency, just to give you a little teaser on some of our programs. And also, for those of you unfamiliar with this initiative at Enterprise, there are 4 people who spend their time primarily working in rural and Native communities. Russ Caney is the director of the program. He has a strong background in preservation, financing. He does a great job in advocating for affordable housing in rural communities. He's really a jack of all trades, if you will, under this program. Me, Sarah Torcell, I manage the Section 4 program for all of our rural and Native American grantees, and I've done work with our permanent supportive housing activities and have started to become more involved in our new culture and creativity program. Vince Gallagher from our team is actually located in New Mexico, so he's very focused on our Native homeownership program, and he's also been involved in disaster planning and resiliency. Susan Anderson, who's currently out on maternity leave, she's also involved in our 515 preservation work and was really instrumental in developing the Texas Preservation Academy, if anyone here on the line has attended that academy. And finally, Melinda Pollack oversees the work of the program overall, really helping us to advance our work, our activities, and our programs. And don't let me forget Kate Dippendorfer, who kicked off the call today. She's not officially a member of the Rural and Native American team, but she's our Senior Grant Specialist, and she really manages all of our grants. So some of you on the line may have already worked with her in some capacity. So about this funding program, the funding comes from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. So this is an annual allocation that Enterprise receives from HUD, along with 2 other Section 4 intermediaries, LISC and Habitat for Humanity. The purpose of the Section 4 program is really to increase the technical and administrative capabilities of CDCs, CHDOs, and organizations serving Native American populations like tribes, TDHEs, and tribal housing authorities. And then these groups are really tasked with carrying out the community development and affordable housing activities that must benefit households of low income, and for this program that's defined as 80% AMI or below. So some of the eligibility requirements I want to point out, HUD requires, as I just said, that you be a CDC or CHDO or like organization, like a tribe or tribal entity. And along with that, Enterprise also requires that you have a demonstrated staff capacity and or a relationship with a fiscal agent or fiscal sponsor. If anyone is unsure of their eligibility, we encourage you to take a look at the eligibility requirements listed on our website, or feel free to email the RFP mailbox or myself for assistance. So just some general information. This funding opportunity is a two-step process consisting of the LOI phase and the full proposal phase. We are in the LOI phase now, and depending on how your proposal fares, you could be invited to submit a full RFP, but just to note that is an invitation only based on your LOI submission. Applications must be submitted through SlideRoom. So this is a new online application system that we are using for the first time. You do have to create an account, and all that information is available on our website and in the LOI. And because it is a new system for many of you, I highly encourage you to log in, go to our website, get the information as soon as possible, and not wait too late in the process to kind of familiarize yourself with SlideRoom. Applicants may submit only one application to either of the two open Section 4 LOIs. So there are two LOIs going on at the same time, the rural and Native American and then the national. And national really covers the enterprise markets and then outside enterprise markets, but for urban work. So if you're an organization on the line who has a both urban and rural footprint, you cannot apply under both. You have to choose one or the other. So I would encourage you to take a look at both and see where your application might best fit. Applicants may apply under only one program area. So, you know, we realize that in a lot of proposals, there's some overlap with the work that's being done, and your application might actually consist of a couple or several of the program areas listed in our LOI, but we ask that you select only one primary program when submitting your application. And then we also want to point out that if you're an applicant that has either an active award or a pending application with the other Section 4 intermediaries that I mentioned, LISC or Habitat, you can still apply to our LOI, but we ask that you not duplicate your request. So if you have a grant to LISC, please do not submit the same ask, same time frame, same use of the grant to Enterprise. All of this information is available on our website. Questions can also be sent to the RFP mailbox, and I believe my email is also listed in the LOI, so feel free to reach out to me for questions as well. This program covers the entire nation, but pointing out that the activities must take place in a rural area. We anticipate that awards will range from $25,000 to $100,000. The average award under rural and Native American is $50,000. So I just want to point out, and we'll talk about it more when we get into the program areas, but we only have two programs that offer up to $100,000. So please keep that average award range of $50,000 in mind when submitting your proposal. Also, if awarded a grant, the period of performance can begin as early as July 1st, 2018, and usually has a general duration of 12 to 24 months. But I just want to point out here that ideally, we really only want to see a 24-month period of performance with a $100,000 grant. So the $100,000 grants are really designed to be multi-year capacity building grants. So again, when possible, please consider that 12-month time frame for the $50,000 grants when submitting your proposal. Again, funding is available only to applicants operating in rural areas across the nation. We recognize that there are about 40 different definitions of what a rural area could be, but per HUD guidelines, this definition here on the screen is the one we use for the Section 4 program, and it's really just saying you need to be in an area with 50,000 people or less. And if you're not sure, we have this wonderful tool. It's in the LOI, but you can use this to determine whether or not your grant activities would qualify as rural. So you just go to this link, you can put in your zip code, you can put in a city, and if it lights up pink, that means you're in an urban area, and that particular organization or grant activity would not be eligible under this program. So a couple of the threshold requirements, just to reiterate, that your proposed activities must address the needs of low-income households as required under Section 4. And again, that definition is 80% AMI or lower. And that applicants must also meet the eligibility requirements as described in Appendix A. So that's what we talked about a couple slides ago with you must be a CDC, CHDO, or like entity, like a tribe, Tribal Housing Authority, or TDHE, and you must have demonstrated staff capacity and or a relationship with a fiscal agent or sponsor. So you really have to meet both of those requirements or your application will not be reviewed. Okay, so switching gears a little bit, we're going to now get into the rural and Native American program areas. So this year, we're offering 7 categories to apply under. Some are very similar to last year, and some are new, like culture and creativity. So the 7 categories are building and designing sustainable communities, affordable housing preservation, Native home ownership, resilience planning, disaster recovery and rebuilding, health and housing, culture and creativity, and then the multi-year capacity building for Native American communities. And we will talk about each one of those now. So the first category is building and designing sustainable communities, and this is really the green and design work of enterprise that we do. So we're really looking to support groups that are using or inspired by the 2015 Green Communities criteria with a focus on efficiency and health. So some activities that could qualify under that are sustainable master planning and design recommendations for affordable housing, or projects that really support a holistic approach to sustainability, culturally appropriate designs, green operations, and maintenance and property management. So I do want to point out before we go to the next program area that these are just examples and there's more detail within the LOI, so please do take a look at that to get sort of the broader picture of each of these program areas. These are just some examples and uses that would qualify under these program areas. Next up is affordable housing preservation. So, you know, you could probably tell by my intro and what everyone works on, preservation is a big focus area of ours, and we're really intent on ensuring long-term sustainability of the affordable housing developers, as well as maintaining affordable housing portfolios and affordable housing stock. So some activities that might qualify under that are work including 515 projects and Year 15 LIHTC projects, any kind of community revitalization efforts that support new models or strategies to preserve the existing affordable housing units, and then also any kind of development or preservation of farm worker or migrant and seasonal worker housing. Native homeownership, also a big focus area of ours here. Here we are looking to support organizations that are expanding or developing homeownership programs that promote responsible homeownership, and groups that are participating or the development of a state or regional tribal homeownership coalition, all with the goal of increasing homeownership among Native Americans on and off reservations. So we're going to support staff time to implement a home buyer education program, credit counseling, home buyer readiness, pre- and post-purchase counseling, education curriculum, or groups that are marketing homeownership opportunities and developing expertise in mortgage finance programs. So really this category is all about increasing homeownership for Native Americans. The next category is resilience planning, disaster recovery, and rebuilding. So this is sort of a new, also standalone category. We had it embedded within another program area last year, but I think we're all very aware of the natural disasters that occurred in 2017, and unfortunately it doesn't look like that trend is going to change. And so we really wanted to, kind of call that out as a separate program area because we realize how important it is across the country. So really here looking to support organizations that are responding to the continual threat of natural disasters, groups that are developing comprehensive disaster plans, all with the design to protect buildings, residents, operations. And then we're going to support activities that promote the resilience of housing and services. So that could be technical assistance and training for your staff that will really help you and your organization achieve a greater understanding of resilience measures that might be required in affordable housing. And here in this category, priority will be given to rural areas with the declared FEMA disaster designation within the last 3 years. So just keep that in mind if you apply under this category. That is something we will be asking for. The next step is health and housing. Here we are really looking to work with organizations that serve sort of the most vulnerable populations, that being older adults, homeless, formerly homeless, disabled, veterans groups, and other populations that are deemed to be the most vulnerable. So here we support, groups and activities that are going to work to undertake a permanent supportive housing project. We'll support partners that are partnering with healthcare providers to improve the physical health of their buildings. And there's a lot more information in the LOI, so please do take a look at that. But there is one thing I wanted to point out here, and that's a new sort of component under this program, is that we will consider awarding a 2-year, $100,000 grant to 1 to 2 groups who are working on a statewide or regional basis in support of permanent housing. So we're really looking for proposals that demonstrate partnerships with a number of different organizations. Also, last year we started a permanent supportive housing peer-to-peer network. So if you do end up receiving a grant under this program, we would ask for your participation in this network. And culture and creativity. So this is also a new program area here under Rural and Native American. And here we're really looking to support community and economic development and housing initiatives that are able to leverage arts and culture and creativity to achieve social, economic, environmental, and health outcomes. Also, we'll support groups that are looking to expand creative industries, including visual and performing arts, arts education, food, or other creative businesses, and creative placemaking strategies for affordable housing or other community development. Here, we're also encouraging community collaborations and activities that connect with local, state, or national initiatives offering related training and technical assistance. So I want to point out here, too, because this is a newer program area for Enterprise and under this initiative, that you have to still keep the Section 4 guidelines in mind if submitting an application under culture and creativity, and that is the activities must benefit the low-income person or families, and Section 4 is all about capacity building dollars to the CDC or CHDOs. So just keep those things in mind, you know, when submitting an application under culture and creativity. And then last but certainly not least is our multi-year capacity building for Native American communities. So this program here is really intended to support Native groups who are engaged in a comprehensive community development program. And what we mean by that is it's a proposal that's focused on creating a community of opportunity, one that could combine design, green building, sustainability, culture, health, and access to opportunities such as education and jobs. Sustainable master planning and design recommendations would also qualify under this program. Some of the requirements here are that this program is only eligible to groups serving the Native American population, and we anticipate making 2 to 3 $100,000 awards. So this and then the Health and Housing Opportunity are the only 2 programs with a grant size of up to $100,000. And so we would also ask that this be a 2-year period of performance under this program. And also a little different from last year, previously we had limitations that if you received a grant under this program that you couldn't apply within this category. But we no longer have that restriction, and you'll be eligible to apply in this category even if you received a larger grant previously from Enterprise. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Kate to talk about the application materials and submission process.
Thanks, Sarah. So as we mentioned before, the LOI and access to SlideRoom, our online application system this year, are both posted on our website. SlideRoom has a lot of great enhancements that weren't available with the system we used last year, and one of those enhancements is that your work is automatically saved as it's entered. So if you happen to lose the connection to the internet, or if you run into any other computer issues midway through, your work will be saved. Again, you can register for an account in SlideRoom by following the instruction guide and Appendix C in the LOI. And then another little tip here too, if you haven't registered for an account yet, but you're still curious about what questions you may be asked to answer, you can click on Apply Now from our website, and you can get a little preview of all the questions that you'll be asked. So some other features that SlideRoom offers: 72 hours before the deadline, email reminders will be sent to applicants that haven't submitted their application yet. And then within a week of the deadline, anyone who hasn't submitted their application yet will see a countdown timer in SlideRoom set to your unique time zone to show you how much time is left to submit. And we strongly encourage everyone to review their application before submitting, because once an application has been submitted, changes can't be made even if you've submitted your application before the deadline. You know, and sadly, we won't be able to approve any request to edit an application after it's been submitted. If you've missed any of the required questions, you'll get a little red link at the top of your screen that will take you back to the questions in the application that you may have missed. So once you've successfully submitted your application, you'll receive a confirmation message that'll show you your unique confirmation ID number, the date you submitted, and the name of the RFP that you applied under. And you'll also get a confirmation email with information about your submission, so please keep this for your records. If you want to print a copy of your application, you can do that directly from SlideRoom, and you can log in and out as many times as you want to review your application, but again, once it's submitted, you can't make any changes. Okay, so submission deadlines. So all applications must be submitted via slide room by 11:59 p.m. Eastern on May 29th. Slide room will close exactly at 11:59 p.m., so we really encourage you guys to get them submitted before the deadline. Again, we won't be able to approve any requests to change the application after it's been submitted. And then any late or hard copy applications will not be accepted, and we won't be accepting any applications outside of slide room. Okay, so for scoring criteria, applicants can receive up to 33 points and must receive a minimum of 22 points to be considered for the full proposal stage. I should note, though, that the decisions to move an applicant forward will also be based on eligibility, your responsiveness to the criteria, your alignment with the identified priorities, and comments from our reviewers. And in addition, the total number of applicants selected to submit a full proposal will be contingent upon the number and quality of LOIs that we receive. So there are 4 criteria that applicants will be scored against, and the first criteria is proposed program aligns with enterprise funding area priorities. So this is a possible 10 points, and you'll be reviewed based on how your proposed activity aligns with one of the program area priorities in the LOI, how it clearly identifies your capacity building needs, and how the activity will address those stated needs. Criteria 2 focuses on impact. This is another possible 10 points, and you'll be scored on how well your application presents a significant impact to your organization and to the needs of households with low income and the communities you serve. Criteria 3 is the capacity and experience of your organization. This is worth 5 points, and you'll be scored based on your prior housing or community development experience and how that's related to the proposed activities in your application. Criteria 4 focuses on racial equity. This is worth 5 points, and you'll be scored based on how your organization's addressing or plans to address racial equity in an impactful and significant manner. Or if you plan on using grant funds to help advance racial equity, it would be how you identify any capacity building needs around this effort and how the grant may help address those needs. New this year is a bonus question worth 3 points. These bonus points relate to Opportunity 360, which is Enterprise's web-based diagnostic tool that provides insight into inclusive economic development across the country. Applicants will be asked to use the tool and describe how the exploration of Opportunity 360 resources have helped them understand their local needs or how it's helped them plan for key projects, programs, or initiatives that will benefit from the proposed activities that they undertake with grant funds. So I'm going to turn it back over to Sarah to talk a little bit more about Opportunity 360.
Thanks, Kate. And I just wanted to back up just a minute to address a little bit more on the racial equity component. And I wanted to acknowledge that, we've received a lot of questions since introducing this into the Section 4 LOI about how this may apply to organizations who provide almost or all of their services to Native Americans. We definitely agree that by nature, the great work that everyone is doing is already working to advance racial equity, but in your response, it needs to go a little further than just stating the population that you work with. Your applicants should really look at racial and equity diversity in terms of outcomes and what your organization is doing to address this. So I hope that helps you a little bit as you think about your response to this question. It's a really important issue we are focused on here at Enterprise and really across the country. So I just thank you in advance for taking the time for a thoughtful and meaningful response to that question. So back to Opportunity 360. As Kate said, it's really a comprehensive approach developed by Enterprise to better understand the challenges and assets of communities and improving outcomes for residents. It's an online platform that features a variety of resources and data. It can help answer questions like, what does opportunity mean for the residents of my community, and how does opportunity vary across communities? So this platform really offers a wealth of opportunity-related data for each census tract in the country, and it also compares neighborhood data to the region, state, and country. So you can really see how this could be useful in not only crafting your proposal to enterprise, but in general, any kind of application to a funder or just anything to inform you and your neighborhood and how to, improve life for the residents there. So here on the screen, you can see there's a link to Opportunity 360, and then it's going to kind of walk you through the steps on how to access it. So you'll go to our website, you'll click on the link, you'll sign up, and then you'll have an ability to create a report for any neighborhood by either entering a location or address into the map. And then from that, you can create a report, the Get Enterprise Opportunity Report. So, this is definitely new for a lot of folks here on the line. So if there's any sort of questions you have about it, there's a technical support email. You can send your questions into that, or, reach out to the RFP mailbox, or myself and I can try to help you. But, you can really see that this tool could definitely help you inform your proposal. So play around with it, and again, like many things that are new to this program, I encourage you not to wait too long to explore this, and I encourage you to take a look at Opportunity 360 as soon as you can. And I think now I'm turning it back over to Kate to go over some important timelines and final reminders.
Thanks. So, So again, the deadline for submitting your LOI applications is May 29th, 11:59 p.m. Eastern. Again, slide room will be shut down at 11:59, so make sure you submit before then. If you're selected to advance to the full application stage, you'll be notified around July 9th. And then those full applications must be submitted by August 6th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. Some online resources that we have available for you. We have an LOI, a frequently asked questions document that'll be posted every Friday through May 24th. And it covers slide room questions, geography questions, eligibility, and some other programmatic questions. So we have it up already online if you guys want to take a look at it. We have some eligibility requirements documents. We have a tutorial, a PowerPoint available. We have our updated grants guide that kind of preps everyone. If you end up receiving a grant award, you can find more information about, how that process gets started. The 2015 Green Communities criteria is available, and then we have a host of other Section 4 tutorials related to fiscal sponsors, fiscal agents, risk assessments, and so on. Okay, so some reminders. Again, you can only submit one proposal. So as Sarah said earlier, please review both the Rural and Native American Initiative LOI and the National LOI and determine which LOI is going to best meet your needs. You can only apply under one program area. We recognize that sometimes, projects or programs can kind of touch on multiple program areas, but you'll need to make select the best program area that matches your project. Again, we're going to only consider LOIs from applicants that have met those threshold requirements, who have submitted their application through slide room, and who've submitted their application by the deadline, which again, May 29th, 11:59 p.m. Any request to change an application once it's been submitted will not be approved. And again, no late submissions, hard copies, or applications outside of slide room will be accepted. General questions about the LOI can be submitted to rfp@enterprisecommunity.org. If you have questions, programmatic questions for Sarah, her email is in the LOI, And if you have any technical issues with SlideRoom, you can send them an email, and they have a pretty great customer service team, and they're really quick with getting back to you. And we already talked about the FAQ, and so that's it. So we'll check the Q&A box to see what questions have come in. And
all right, so now's the time, ladies and gentlemen, to submit your questions to the Q&A box that you'll find in the right-hand panel. We have a couple coming in. The first one is this for new builds only, or also for acquisition of pre-existing homes for low-income rentals?
Well, you can't use Section 4 for the acquisition of a property. So depending on what the use is, it depends. But you can't use Section 4 for acquisition.
Okay, thanks. Next question. Is there a link to the actual LOI? I haven't seen it.
Yeah, so if you go to our website, let's see if I can pull this up here for you. Just with computer issues. Here we go.
Kate is working her magic right now.
Yeah, sorry about the delay.
Delayed magic.
And also, this is Sarah. If you received an email blast from me announcing this program, all that information is in that email with links to our website as well.
So our website is enterprisecommunity.org/financing and development/grants. If you scroll down to the Section 4 funding,
or use the jump link at the top. It's a blue box.
You'll see a blue box that says download the LOI under Rural and Native American. By doing that, clicking on that, you'll be able to view the LOI.
And just make sure you're downloading the right one, because as we said, there are 2 LOIs. So, I mean, feel free to download both to take a look at them, but you'll want to make sure you're applying under the Rural and Native American initiative if appropriate.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Can the TDHE, with a consortium of multiple tribes, apply per tribe, or are we limited to one application per entity/organization?
If it's the same lead entity applying, you can only apply once. So if you're the entity with the consortium, you can't apply as that lead for each individual tribe. You can only submit one.
Okay, thanks. Next question. What are some examples of capacity building activities for the culture and creativity category?
I think Kate's going back to the slide. So it could be sort of a creative placemaking activity, collaboration, so something that you're doing in partnership with others. So it could be, an example could be staff time to support, let's say, a food sovereignty initiative. Because we list here, you know, we'll support groups that are expanding industries such as food or other businesses. So it could be staff time for staffing one of those sort of endeavors. It could be consultants that you are hiring to advance creative industry or one of your programs, creative placemaking. So it's sort of the same sort of uses of Section 4, right, like staff time, consultants, direct costs, that still apply here under culture and creativity and our capacity building. Yeah, so those are there.
Okay. Next question is, do they have to be related to housing?
The culture and creativity?
I believe so. It's from the same gentleman, so I believe that's it's a follow-up question.
Yeah, so, you know, you just have to keep in mind that Section 4 is about providing an activity or service that's going to benefit someone that's low income, and it's also about capacity building for your organization. So ideally, it's tied to community or economic development and housing initiatives. I think that would help your application fare better. But as long as it is, you know, as long as you're an eligible organization and you're submitting for eligible costs, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, but you know, that's what we're in the business of, is affordable housing and community development. So ideally, the creative placemaking or culture and creativity activities are tied to your community development. So not necessarily housing, but community development.
Okay. I'm looking for some more. We do have a few, a few questions that have come in about match and leveraging funds. We can say that at this point in the LOI first phase, we're not addressing the match issues because it's not related to the requirements to apply for this particular phase. We will be addressing and discussing the match request and how Enterprise works that when the applicants are invited for the second stage, the full proposal stage, and that's when we'll have those discussions.
Yeah, so just to point out, match is going to be part of the next phase, so it will be something that's included. A lot of you are already familiar with that, and we can, you know, field those questions later on down the road. But it will be included, and it's really a request from our partners to help Enterprise assisting in our match requirement. We can, you know, get into more details at the next stage.
So I have a question from the chat box. Is there a list of eligible expenses, and can the capacity building grant be used for training, travel, et cetera? So examples of eligible activities and allowable costs can be found in the LOI starting on page 19. Training is fine as long as it is a true training and it just isn't a networking opportunity. Travel for trainings is also an allowable expense.
Okay. Looking for more questions. Now is a perfect time. If you have something to ask, please enter it in the Q&A box.
I think it means we just did an outstanding job conveying all the information.
So I have a question about slide room. How many people can input to the LOI? More than one. So I think your best bet is to just identify one person from the organization to work on the application, or if there's a need for more than one person to access it, you may want to, set up maybe like a shared email address and password that, your team can kind of use to go in and out. But we can't give access to, say, like 3 people and for one group.
Okay, another question. On average, how many applicants do you get per year?
The last round at the LOI phase, I think last year was maybe 60-some applications that came in for the LOI, but the year before that it was like 85. So I would say around 60 to 80 applications come in at the LOI phase. So it's pretty competitive.
Okay, we have a general question, might be a little too general, but Deborah, if you want to expand upon your question of what are the capacity building activities, do you mean for one program area or in general the definition of capacity building activity? If you could give us a little more information about what you need.
And as I touched on a little bit ago, a lot of grants that we make are used for operations, for staff time, for consultants. Pre-development is huge. Sort of direct costs might be supplies, printing, whatever you need for your project or program. Those are all sort of typical capacity building costs that we see come through.
Wonderful, thanks. I think that is what she needed. Okay, can this be used in conjunction with LIHTC and HTF development projects?
I'm not sure what you mean by in conjunction. It can definitely be used to help sort of support the work that you're doing, but I will point out that Section 4 is not used for direct construction. So it can be used, if you have a LIHTC project and you want to use a Section 4 grant to support staff time or pre-development, that's a great mix. But Section 4 cannot be used for direct construction unless you have a slew of environmentals in place that is really actually pretty difficult to put in place, and so typically we sort of steer away from using Section 4 for direct construction.
Okay. Will these slides be available for us to view later?
Yes. The PowerPoint slides and a recording of the webinar will be on our website, I would say no later than Monday.
Okay. If a portion of a project is already being done with funds from an NEA or NPS grant, could an enterprise grant be used for another portion of the same project?
Yes, yep, and that would be a great example of you having outside funds as a matching component of this grant. So that's really what matches, right, showing that you've been able to use private resources. So let me say too, because you said NEA, but just to point out that all match has to be privately funded. But yeah, ideally that's, we often see other funding sources coupled with our Section 4 grant in order to advance the project or program. So yes, you could use Section 4 for something that you've already received funding for, as long as it's not sort of duplicating those costs.
Okay. We have an eligibility question. Is a 501c3 community behavioral health center considered a CDC?
So just to make sure, it would be great if you could email the RFP mailbox, and then we'll follow up with you to collect some of your organizational documents just to determine if you are eligible. And that's rfp@enterprisecommunity.org. I'll move the slide.
Okay. Can you make the there's a request. Can you make the PowerPoint be made available any sooner? Hold on, it's jumping. I will need to present to my board.
I see. So what we can do, we can probably post the PowerPoint sooner than the recording. So we'll try to get the PowerPoint online.
If you email the RFP mailbox, we can send you the PowerPoint also if you need it ASAP.
Yeah, I was going to say, just reach out to either me or the RFP mailbox, and we can send you one quickly if you need it.
Okay. All right, we have a lull. This is, what do we have, 7 minutes, last call. All right. I think we're good.
All right.
Wait, hold on. Wait. I got one. No, we're good. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much for attending today's webinar. If you have any further questions, you have the resources here at your disposal on how to get those questions answered, and we really look forward to reviewing your proposal.